Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Aftermaghrib podcast, where today's a new week. That means we're having a brand new conversation, and I'm excited for today because it's one I think we can all relate to and resonate with, inshallah. And we are joined by a wonderful, amazing guest. And before I introduce him, as always, as I do every week, I'd like to introduce my co-host, my partner in crime.
Yes,
and
yes,
my partner in dunya and akhirah, inshallah.
Habibi.
Ahmed, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Sounds like we're married.
Technically,
Partner in dunya and akhirah. No.
Technically,
there's levels.
There's no technicalities.
We have spouses who listen. How you doing, bro?
Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm okay. I had a late night last night.
You had the late night buzz.
The late night buzz, which means I got here late, which means I'm half asleep right now. So Ali messaged me, says, Wallah, please wake up. He messaged me on WhatsApp.
Before we got here, I was speaking to Sayyid Mustafa, and I was like, look, if Ahmed doesn't wake up, he's not going to answer the telephone calls. We need to place a delivery order and send it to his house. So at least the delivery man presses the bell.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah.
I was feeling a bit,
Allah يساعدك.
Allah يسلمك. What do I say to that?
يخليك.
Allah يساعدك.
يحفظك.
يحفظك. Okay.
It's just...
And you?
You're learning your Arabic.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'm getting there.
No, alhamdulillah.
Anyway, Said, we have a special guest with us.
We do.
One of the most up-and-coming young stars of our community, mashallah. Fantastic speaker. He's been involved in different projects with Ahlul Bayt TV. We're excited to have him on. It feels like it's overdue as well. Said Zane Milani, assalamu alaikum, bro.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I want to thank you for this opportunity for having me on here, and I'm looking forward to today's topic and just speaking with you guys. I love the energy you guys have brought. I love this banter back and forth. So
Habibi, bro.
Inshallah, gonna be a great discussion.
How's things with you? How's life? Family?
Alhamdulillah. So alhamdulillah, the way it is right now, we were briefly mentioning before the show how right now it is Ramadan whilst we're recording, and I found this year much easier than last year. Alhamdulillah, due to the time going back, and it's just been, the weather's better and it's just more bearable.
Yeah.
However, I started thinking back to a couple of years ago when it was longer and it was more difficult. However, we felt the reward of it. We felt the, when you break the fast,
struggle.
You felt the struggle.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking back to that whilst you guys were speaking, and subhanAllah, those were amazing times. But alhamdulillah, I'm doing well. My family's doing well. Just moving on with life.
Does it get sometimes overwhelming to be the grandson of Ayatollah Sayyid Milani?
Allah.
Does it feel like a lot of people are always talking to you about him? And how does it make you feel?
I think I wouldn't say overwhelming, but I definitely feel like, I'll speak about the benefits of it first. I definitely feel like it's a blessing. It's a blessing. 100% it is a blessing. It's brought me many blessings that I can't even have done otherwise. Just having that. Just him being my grandfather, people want to know me, want to talk to me. It's a blessing, alhamdulillah. And I don't feel a sense of pressure. I don't feel like there's that pressure of, if someone were to ask about my granddad, I'm happy to sit and discuss, and talk about what he's like and the work that he's done and so on and so forth. However, I do feel like sometimes there is that little bit of a shadow, in a sense, just looking back at my father and his father. It's kind of this sense, it's natural. Anyone who has great parents and grandparents and so on, they're naturally going to feel that. And we all feel that at some point, just looking up to our parents. We feel like, how could we ever be like them? So, but there is that sense of, a shadow of, I'm not going to be able to reach the same levels that this person can reach. But it hasn't impacted me in a sense because I've sort of set out on my own route, and I've always wanted to just establish myself as myself and go from there. I mean, even when I was in the Shia Voice, I don't know if you saw that clip where Mullah Nazar was like, why didn't you put Sayyid Zane Zane Milani?
Yes.
He asked, are you the grandson of Ayatollah Father Milani? And my heart dropped. I was like, this is the one thing I didn't want it to come to. It's like, I want to be on here for me, not because of who my granddad is, but alhamdulillah, it is a blessing, definitely. but it does have, of course, the natural pressures that come with being the grandson of someone like that.
May Allah bless him and protect him. And I think it's only fair we give your father a shout out. So Jafar Milani, who I've shared great memories with, and here as well at Ahlul Bayt TV. May Allah bless him like father, like son, and inshallah you can continue in this path. But before we go into delving into the actual conversation, I have a final question on this topic. Do you feel like because you are in this family, alhamdulillah, a blessed family, that you have an extra sort of responsibility in the eyes of not just Allah, but your community?
100%. 100%. It's something that I've had to be aware of from a very, very young age. In that the way that I conduct myself, it's not going to come across the same way that someone else might come across, you know, because people don't know. For example, my friends, outside the majalis and whatnot, I remember when I would be outside playing with my friends, you know, my dad would take it very seriously and he'd get angry and tell me to go back inside and so on. I wouldn't get it. Why? Because my friends, then no one's going to really say anything.
Yes.
But if I'm sat there playing around, especially now at this age, if I'm not really stepping up, if I'm not doing anything to just sort of carry on and at least even in my mannerisms, portray and project my family the way that they have been, you know, it's going to bring about a negative image, and I don't want that for my family. No one would want that. So there is that sort of pressure in that, you know, there is a responsibility definitely that you have to live up to an image. You have to sort of watch the way that you act many, many more times than the average person will have to. Even in majalis, just when I'm standing next to my granddad, just that in its own, I need to watch 1,000,000 times over what I'm saying. Sometimes I mess over my words. I'm like, you know, I don't want to be saying the wrong things and that kind of stuff. And you have to watch your actions very carefully. But alhamdulillah, it teaches you a lot on the other side. On the flip side of it, it gives you a lot of life experience. It gives you a sort of maturity from early on that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So
I love that word, maturity.
What I would add is, if with your permission, is at least from observation of friends, I think Said Ali and I will know a lot of sons of scholars. Said himself is a son of a scholar. You yourself are a son of a scholar. MashaAllah. And a lot of the time there are occasions where it might go the flip side. So there are people, in fact, last night, subhanAllah, I was driving with some friends and this conversation came up. Why are some of our youth, one of the struggles the youth are facing is leaving Islam or leaving Shiism? Not often, but we do see it. And in some cases you see even from the sons of scholars or from the sons of scholarly families in general. Now, obviously, I don't think I'm able to comment too much on it, but one would imagine it might be because of a pressure or a misunderstanding, or maybe to some even like, what's the word I'm looking for? An expectation to practice, an expectation to uphold a certain standard. Islam being forced down the throat, you know, for some, I don't know. But it's mashallah to see you guys, how you've turned out. It's an example, I think, to us, the rest of the community. We say, wow, that they're carrying on the traditions of their fathers and their grandfathers, mashallah. And you know, it's a good example to a lot of youth, because there are a lot of youth, and I want to ask you as well, because there are a lot of us who are not sons of scholarly families. Let's even put it another way. There are people who may come from families which are not practicing, don't pray. Maybe I met a brother 2-3 days ago who joined Shiism. I met him actually at an after Maghrib event, who joined the fold of Shia Islam, and might come from families which don't practice or encourage it. It's pressure, is it? Perhaps to a degree for a young child or a young guy who's trying to learn. I don't know. I just want to understand what you think in terms of the societal pressure that's put on someone when they come from a family which is or isn't religious. Do you know what I mean?
Say it to you.
I'm going to let you answer this. I think because you are younger than me. You are very, very younger than me, and I think my challenges are very different to how they are now. But I would say the fact that you mentioned, like, even people struggle from a scholar family, that tells you that struggles are real. No one's unique to the challenges they face or to the satanic battles they have with themselves. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the way how you nourish a family, how you raise them, and the upbringing plays a very critical role. There are those who, as you said, they force Islam down the throat, or are those who make you embrace Islam, make you live Islam and actually understand what Islam is all about. And I think that's how we have less struggles. If we understand, for example, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made certain laws, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, made things in a specific way, why this is halal, why this is haram, why this is her right or his right or the child's right or the mother's right. It's because there is a balance. Like everyone has huquq, everyone has certain responsibilities. The moment we understand the rights of the laws and the rights of everyone else around us, I think the struggles will be easy. But I don't know. That's my struggles when I was younger. That's the way we face now. But I know times have changed. Technology has, I don't know, exploded. The internet has taken over everyone's home. I want to hear from you.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree that having a clear understanding of Islam and seeing people embody Islam as opposed to shoving it down our throats is the best way forward. I think for me, having my granddad is a big inspiration for me. My granddad and my dad.
To
just
all
seeing
of us, mashallah.
exactly, just seeing them embody Islam. Just seeing them embody the characteristics of Islam, the virtues. I grew up initially saying that, initially not understanding where these actions were coming from, but then I started to understand the purpose behind them. I understand what positive attributes these have. So I started aspiring to be like it. I would say, okay, you know what? I want to even talk like my granddad. I want to walk like him. I want that, because people gravitate.
So you had the role model.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, this could be the issue for a lot of people, like you mentioned, brother, is that they don't have that role model. A lot of the youth, they don't have that role model. And especially when I talk with a lot of my friends, when they do have their Islamic role models, be it their fathers, their cousins, their parents, whatever it is, it's negatively portrayed. For them, it's something completely different, right? Where it's completely restrictive. They're pinned down and they're held down, and then they're unable to practice. They're having a reverse reaction where they
fully agree with that.
They want to flee from Islam.
I couldn't agree more. So there are youth who are sometimes so raw and have so much potential in their talent and their opportunity to progress and develop. And as someone who's older, you might be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you might be a parent. It's very important to mentor them the right way. We met a young boy a few days ago who we ran into, the three of us, with Mushtaba, and we all agree that this guy, mashallah, this young brother has a lot of potential, but he needs a good mentor. But there's a difference between mentoring someone and maybe forcing or enforcing Islam on them. Forcing them to come to majlis and forcing them to sit for an hour in Urdu, an hour in Arabic or something like that. And then they're just baffled. They're maybe put off religion or whatever. I think mentoring is as much of a responsibility as it is on our parents, as it is even to us who are not maybe, don't have teenage kids. We might have younger kids, but we need to look down on these brothers and maybe help out, look out for them in a mosque, help out where we can. Mentoring is a big part of our community, which I think we all benefit from. At least in our generation stage, we had mentors and youth clubs and stuff like that. But there's also an onus on us to do the same. You know what I mean?
100%, I'm with you on that. I mean, I think that I was a big advocate for even just youth clubs in general. I was looking into so many ideas and just setting up, youth events and whatnot, because I was a big advocate for this. And I definitely believe that another factor that is leading so many people astray in my generation, just the youth in general, is this lack of mentorship from the previous generation, right? Where it kind of ties into that role model issue, where I feel like from the complaints that I hear from a lot of people, they are pushed away by the previous generation and they don't take responsibility, especially their parents and so on and so forth. They don't understand that if their son is out, clubbing and partying and so on, they have a degree of responsibility for that. It's not completely on their child. They have a degree of responsibility.
At what point does sorry to interrupt you, does it ever switch to the child fully? And at what point does it? Is it bulugh? Is it when they move out of the house and then when they get married?
I think that's a very difficult question to answer, because I think that's very subjective.
Circumstantial.
It's very down to the person.
So there's no so for you, there's no threshold where all children become solely responsible for their own actions? I
do think eventually, because this becomes a question of like human nature in general, of is it nurture versus nature, like that kind of thing, where someone who's 30 years old, are they still impacted by the way they were raised and so on and so forth? You get me? So it's that kind of question. I think definitely after bulugh, they're 100% responsible for their own action, right? However, the actions that they take is definitely influenced by the actions of their parents or their role models or whoever's in around them. right? And I feel like there's just this sort of lack of responsibility from the previous generation, and they're quick to blame us. They're quick to point fingers, quick to... It's just a natural thing where I'm sure you experience it within your own generation, where, you know, they're quick to call us lazy, quick to blame us for anything that we're doing wrong. You know, we've lost interest. And I don't see any kind of responsibility taken. So that's why I kind of really agree with that point of yours, that we owe it to the next generation to actually take responsibility, ensure that we are that responsibility.
Bro, mashallah, you're 18. You're saying you owe it to the next generation for you is like in the diapers right now.
I was waiting to say he's 18. Now you mentioned it.
You know what we said before we started the podcast, when Ahlul Bayt TV started, said you were how old, like 17, 16?
When Ahlul Bayt TV started, I was 15.
15. I was 13 or 12. I think. And you were 3.
Wow.
So it's like...
SubhanAllah.
It's yeah.
But I definitely take up that responsibility, because even when I look at my younger cousins, even if they're younger than me by like 1 or 2 years, you know, I definitely take that responsibility for them. If I see them, you know, going down a route that, just because I've been in their position many times, and there is, you know, just to touch back on that earlier question, I wasn't fully honest when you asked about having that pressure of being the grandson of a scholar or from a scholarly family. There's sort of this taboo where you're unable to admit that, okay, you know what, I'm still part of the youth. Of course, I'm going to be taking part. There's
still
so many,
fallible. You're still growing.
You know, I've fell into the same issues that any other youth will fall into. So it's very difficult to kind of openly say that. But yeah,
I feel like people expect you to be ma'soom.
There is that sort of, because now if I go out, like, I've never gone clubbing, but if I were to come out tomorrow and say that I was clubbing, they're gonna be like, you know, there's just gonna be a scandal. It's gonna be a scandal. It's not gonna be just
people knocking the door of Said
literally, and they're gonna go to him, what's your grandson doing? So it is that sort of, you have to really watch what you're doing. But of course, we're still youth, we're still people, we're not fallibles. No, we are fallibles. Yeah, we are fallibles. Yeah. So, of course, we make mistakes. And I've been in those positions. I've been in those circumstances, people around me. So now when I recognize it in my younger cousins, just people around me who, it doesn't necessarily even need to be my younger cousins, just people around me, my age, my own friends, I'm definitely going to step up. And I always do that. I step up and I take it upon myself to just guide them and give them whatever advice that I can. And I try to do it from my own point of view, because I understand what it's like to be nagged. I think that was another point that kind of I've noticed with the youth. Okay. Is that when we're advised, it's very annoying. It's really very annoying, especially when we're advised by our elders. It's done in a manner it's not relatable. It's not understandable. Yes. We don't get anything out of it, and it just feels like we're being lectured.
We're being told off.
Exactly. So I feel like that's another issue, is that we're not advised in a correct way. It's not that we aren't looking for advice. It's just we're not advised.
You know, that's so true, Sayyid, because, you know, back in my days when I was young, and I think I've mentioned this on a previous podcast as well. Like, if, let's say we did something wrong in our community, or, you know, someone wasn't, you know, adhering to all the Islamic laws, or other shwaya, he's falling out of line. Yeah. They didn't take him back into line. They were just telling him off, speaking about him publicly, you know, bringing down his family, and then eventually he fell off that line completely.
Of course, it's natural.
Not because he hated Islam or he hated, you know, the world of what's halal to him. He hated the people who represented Islam. Yeah. And you know that saying where they say, if you're trying to search about Islam, look into Islam and don't look at the Muslims. And I think that's very critical in this conversation.
That hadith in Amir al-Mu'mineen, which is so relevant. It's like, we mentioned it a few days ago as well, somewhere else. Look for the truth, don't look for those who claim to have it. Yes. Follow those with the truth.
And it will lead you to those.
Because if we follow people, we follow those who adhere to, you know, or they say that they have the haq, then we're going to be led down a narrow cave, and, you know, somewhere we don't want to go, basically.
So what do we do now? Let's say we're youth, we're struggling. Inshallah, we're all youth, and in Jannah we are youth, technically. Yeah. So we say this way. And you are a young believer. So what are the struggles that people face now?
Okay.
That you would say affects a Shia Muslim?
Okay, I think this is the number one thing, is Salah. Yes. Salah. The biggest thing. Just from what I've seen with myself, my family, my friends, just the number one thing. Forget everything else. The number one thing that we're all complaining about is Salah. We all have this desire towards being, you know, as we say, like, on our prayers. You know, we all have this desire to pray every day 5 times
On
a
my
day.
deen.
On my deen, exactly. We all. It's not something that we're against. I've never met any young Shia brother or sister who's like, no, I don't want to pray. No, they all want to, right? But we have this severe struggle. It's a battle. It's a genuine battle that I feel like maybe it's new to my generation. I don't know about your generation, but with my generation, it's a genuine struggle to pray one prayer.
It's been a struggle since the beginning of time. But the thing is, I feel like for us as millennials or whatever, like we're a social media generation. Like for us, it's like we want to be religious without committing to salah. It's like I enjoy Latmiyat, I enjoy Majalis. And don't get me wrong, like, I enjoy the sound of Quran and I enjoy Fatur and I enjoy like the congregational element of religion. But when it comes to the commitment, the 5 times a day, the waking up in the middle of the night to pray and splitting my prayers when I have to and stuff like that, it's a bit long. That's how people might feel. I feel like it's always been an issue.
Definitely.
And sometimes we're hypocrites because we enjoy the vibe or the feeling of Islam. Is it just me?
No, I get you. I definitely get you.
Like you would enjoy going to an iftar. We're talking about iftar because we're in Ramadan and I'm craving shepherd's pie today. I don't know why. I'm the most random thing in the world. And the Lucozade. Anyway, but shepherd's like you enjoy the environment. You feel the spirituality. But then it's the commitment, the 5-time daily commitment, which I think is people struggle with.
You know what I find interesting about this commitment of salah is that you can be so young and love salah.
Yeah.
You can be very young and you see your mama prays, baba prays, ammu prays, haji prays.
Your kids pray with you.
Everyone's praying.
Yeah.
And then you get to a stage, I think, let's say, probably, I don't know, maybe 15, maybe even earlier now these days. But nowadays, I think about 15, 16 was like a critical age where you sort of not leave salah, but you don't take it as serious as you used to. And I think that's because of the distractions we have.
Do you think so?
Do you agree? Yeah. Our distractions back in the day was like either football was on TV or, you know, we're going to, I don't know, a sleepover. No, Istanbul, don't worry. We're going to friends' sleepovers and things like this. So we didn't take Islam seriously. But now the distraction is everywhere. Like I'd rather scroll on TikTok than get up and pray Fajr. I'd rather, you know, start stalking people on Instagram and seeing what the people saying in the comment section than go and doing wudu and standing up for Dhuhr and Asr prayers. Yeah. So I think there is that distraction where we don't take salah as serious as we used to do.
No, I definitely think that's a big side of it. I hadn't thought of that before. But you're right, it's a generational thing. And in my generation, I keep hating on this generation, but it's true. We have the shortest, what do you call it? Attention span on earth. You know, it's it's crazy. It's, you know, you get any one of them in a room and try hold a conversation for more than 2 minutes. It's like they're somewhere else, you know.
Thinking of Roblox.
It's just something.
Honestly.
Because it's an issue of social media. Like you said, it's so easily, we have such easy instant gratification. All it takes is open your phone, you go on TikTok. You don't like the video, scroll. You don't like scroll. Keep going. It doesn't end. There's no end to it.
Now.
And it's just like, it's been going like this for pretty much all our lives. From the moment we're born, we're pretty much born with these iPads and iPhones and whatnot, more or less. And so we're basically raised with it, and it's how our brains have been programmed. So I definitely agree that there is that factor to it. But
in terms of the salah thing, what you said about generational, I want to add to that. I agree that your generation has got the shortest attention span in the world. I don't even think we're that, although we're between us, we have about 15 years difference between the three of us. But I still feel like there's a lot of similarities. Definitely. I really do. What I will say as well is that every age group or every generation has its challenges. So if you're talking about that period between, as we say, the 7 to 14 age, where you're building up to bulugh for boys, or for girls, you're becoming baligh, your challenge then is ritualizing your salah, you know, making it routine day to day. If you talk about the age group slightly older, your struggles are it's not thinking about girls and music and messing around in school and all of that. It's like, no, focus on your prayers. You get a bit older, when you're married, you've got kids, it's about finding time for salah. You're working, you're busy at the office. Do I have time to get up and pray before I go to work or go to school? Do I have time not go to school, drop the kids to school maybe? Do I have time to pray? Do you know what I mean? Making sure that you do everything in time with your day-to-day life, being a parent or whatever. And obviously in the elder age, your jihad, your struggle might be my bodily strength to get up 5 times a day and pray. You know, they're doing wudu, and like, mashallah, we look at our grandparents. My grandmother isn't hardcore inspiration to me. She will never pray outside of that waqt. What do you call it? Fazila. She'll never pray outside of that. Mashallah. And that to me is like, what am I doing? She's pushing 80 and I'm here pushing 30. I'm nowhere near that level. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of examples and lessons for us to learn across the board, but there is definitely a generational element to it for sure with Salah.
So what do we do when we struggle?
Oh, this is one thing I wanted to ask you guys, because I have my own answer on this, but I want your answers on this first. What's been most helpful for you in maintaining your salahs?
What
you've seen with your friends and your generation? What's been the most helpful?
That's such a good
To
question.
maintain salah. Oh, I've never really thought about this, to be honest, in depth. Ahmed, you go first.
I have like one or two answers in mind.
Yeah.
One is after you go bathroom, do wudu.
Okay.
So you stay in wudu.
Yeah.
So then it's like you don't feel. For me, the thing is not praying; it's the wudu. It's like it's long, especially when you're wearing a shirt and leather shoes. You've got unlaced, or you're in a public place. Like I don't want to have to go and do. So that's something that's is in my mind. After you go to the bathroom, do wudu, and then change and leave the house or whatever. So you're in wudu. Another thing as well is just having khushu' in your prayer, like being sincere in the way you approach salah. Your niyyah before you start, doing istighfar before you begin, clearing your thoughts before you begin, makes it easier to pray, makes it more enjoyable. It doesn't feel like you have to rush it. You know, I think we all do, but I still struggle with my daily prayers. I still struggle in making them prayed on time, prayed with a good heart, prayed with proper makhraj, like all of these elements that we got to try and adhere to. It's not easy. It's not easy, but I enjoy it.
That wudu one is very interesting, because I've actually heard that by many scholars, and they always say, you know, if you're always in a state of wudu, you don't have an excuse, because a lot of the time we're not bothered to pray because I have to go to the sink and put the cold water and take off my socks.
It's not just you're more likely to pray. You're less likely to sin.
Yes.
When you're in wudu all the time. You know you're in a state of tahara. Like you don't know, or mutahara, as our friend said. What did he say? Mutata. Do you remember?
I can't remember.
Anyway, so you're always in a state of tahara, and you're able to, you know, you're conscious. You're like, you know, about what you're saying, what you're doing, subconsciously at least. So I think that's a sick advice.
I think one that will work. I think like my parents back in the day, if we were to go out anywhere or go visit anyone or even take us out to the park or something, it was always
around prayer
what time is salah time?
Yeah.
When can we leave? And when do we have to come back to make sure we're praying salah on time?
Yeah.
So
Very
that you know, that thought process of you surround your life around salah rather than, you know, you put salah around your life.
Yeah.
So I think if you put salah as your main, you know, routine of the day, I don't want to call it routine, but because you're doing it 5 times a day, every day for the rest of your life, it's going to become routine. But you have to make sure that it is central to everything that you do. You're right. And I think that's what makes it easy.
What about you?
Even when we used to travel by planes and stuff, we'd make sure we know what time we're taking our flight. That's how much it had a significant impact on our lives.
If you don't mind me asking, you've been baligh for what, probably about 4 or 5 years?
4 or 5 years, something like that.
How has it been for you? And especially that period, how was that for you?
Okay, so I'd say it's highs and lows as it is for anyone else. You know, it was a constant struggle from day one, where it was like, before Bulugh, I was on my salahs, and it wasn't an issue for me, and I loved the prayer, and I loved Islam, and I loved the deen. Bulugh happened, and I just started falling off. I questioned everything, don't want to be a part of anything, don't want to show up to majalis, don't want to do anything, and even prayers. It's just completely, I don't want to be a part. And this is a part where I was going through a lot of family issues, going through a lot of just personal life issues. So there was a lot of confusion going on, falling into the wrong crowds, just doing the stupidest kind of stuff. And I think I was very egotistical in nature. I was very arrogant. I kind of that was a kind of block for me, where I couldn't humble myself enough to be a devout Muslim, right? And then it was a constant battle back and forth, where I just slowly started working back into Islam, and then I had the newfound interest, which was just debates, right? And this was out of arrogance. I'm not saying this as like a good thing that I look back upon, but this sort of did help me to just get my way back into Islam, where I had a newfound interest in debating people, right, in searching for knowledge, right. that was a sort of, because that was a personal interest of mine from birth, right?
Was it polemics or?
No, it was no,
Who
it
would
was
you
just
debate
like it was like hadiths and just discussing
who
with
were you
other
debating with?
creeds,
Other schools?
other schools, and just
Okay, fine.
just that sort of thing. Like
I see. It has its pros and cons.
and
I can see how it pulled you back in.
So, you know,
Yeah.
obviously being a Shia, people questioned me always, all the time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was sort of like, you know, it was really satisfying to just shut them up. And it was just really enjoyable for
I
me.
think we all, how old were you back then? Like 16, 17?
I would say, yeah, 14, 15.
Oh, wow.
14,
Okay, fine.
15.
So you were in the debate phase a lot earlier than I was.
Yeah.
I think we all had that debate era.
Yeah.
Like at some, for me, it was when I started uni. Or like
Okay.
back end of school, back end of year 12, 13, and then when I started uni. So probably the age you're at now
Yeah.
is when I was in my debate phase. But that it helps, and it's like I feel like it's a natural transition
Yeah.
to go from being a youth who's been brought to the mosque to a youth who's going to the mosque and trying to use the information to battle others, and then eventually it becomes someone who's, you know, you become engulfed by your love for the Ahlul Bayt, the Holy Quran,
right.
and then you're like, I want to give my life to them. But it's a transition,
Definitely.
100%.
No, it's definitely what I saw. So after that, I eventually reached a point where I was just like, you know what, I've had enough of debating. It's just, I'm doing this out of arrogance.
Yeah.
I'm not really not gaining any more knowledge, and it's just someone, it got to a point where someone has said to me, you use your knowledge as a weapon. And that sort of made me, at first I didn't think much of it, but I started reflecting on it in that, well, yeah, in a sense I was just using my knowledge just to, it wasn't because I wanted to spread the deen, I didn't want to spread the message of the Ahlul Bayt. It was just a personal thing. I just wanted
You wanted to be right.
Yeah, I just wanted to be right. It was
prove
just
someone
arrogance kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I took a step back and I said, no, I'm done with debating. And after that, I think that's when I really started to fall in love with the deen. That's when I really started to fall in love with
So
Islam.
you humbled yourself
Exactly.
and fell in love with Allah.
Exactly. I think that's exactly what it is. I started seeing the beauty in Islam. I started seeing the beauty in Salah. So just to sort of give a quick answer, what has been most helpful for me in terms of just maintaining my Salah and being consistent with it is, first of all, just seeing the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You know, just like you were saying, just to have that clarity of mind, that 5 times a day or 3 times a day where, you know, we're just taking a break from what we're doing, clearing our mind, we're washing ourselves physically and also spiritually. And then where, you know, if you're doing it correctly, you're actually focused on the khushu', you're focused on the salah itself. You're not, and this is another thing that people have, is that when they pray, they see it as just an obligation. Just want to get over and done with. It doesn't mean anything to them, right?
Not because they want Jannah, they don't want to go hell.
Exactly. No, exactly. It's like, okay, you know what?
Three types of believers.
Let me just do this.
I'd rather be safe than sorry.
So that Allah's not angry with me, and then then
yeah.
I can ask what I want. But no, I think I'm gonna give another practical tip as well. Focusing, that one thing that has really helped me enjoy and focus in the salah is every moment in the salah you're saying something. You're either saying something or you're taking an action, right? Every word that you say and every action that you take in the salah has a meaning.
Ahsant.
When you're doing these actions, when you're reciting, think about the words and think about the actions that you're taking.
Ahsant.
Your mind doesn't have time to go to other things.
Yes.
You read the Fatiha.
That was one of your goals, said, wasn't it? Was it last year?
We mentioned this on the podcast.
Yeah, we mentioned this about learning, realizing what we're saying, and
Yeah, exactly.
it definitely helps your incentive to want to pray. And
100%.
increases your focus while you're praying. Instead of thinking about what the football score is, what's the weather, what jacket shall I wear when I go, you know, like you're thinking about random stuff. But if you're thinking of Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, and you're thinking in your head, what do these words mean?
Yeah.
Is that you limit the chances of you becoming distracted by something else as well. I think it's a wicked point. Yeah. Listen, we're going to wrap up in the next few minutes. Is there anything you wanted to add on to this before we? Because I still want to ask you a ranking question. I've got like a little game I want you to do.
How are we doing on time? Just
Don't worry.
like another
The time is
5
all
to 10
yours.
Okay.
Time is all yours.
So I just wanted to say that in terms of just advice that I would give to the youth and give to myself and other people, in terms of just being committed to the deen, first of all, start with the salah. I know it's probably one of the hardest things for us right now, right? But once you go down that route, everything else becomes easy. And then the salah itself becomes easy. And Allah has made the salah easy. He's made Islam very easy. That's the way I see it, is that He's made salah very easy. If you really prioritize it, it becomes easy for you, right? The burden is taken off your chest. And once you do that, everything else becomes easy. You start to see Islam from a new light, and you start to enjoy and love what you're doing as opposed to seeing it as a burden. But that's just sort of my final take and my final piece of advice.
I love that.
Love it.
Mashallah. Where do you see yourself, if you don't mind me saying? Well, where do you want to take your life? You're at the prime age of 18, mashallah. This is the peak now of you're in Western terms. You've begun your adulthood this year. Where do you see yourself? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
I haven't really thought about this well. No, because I've thought about it from like a career point of view. Someone asked me, what do you want to be in 5-10 years? I know what I'm going to say then. But in terms of legacy as who I am as a person, I really want to have an impact on people who... Okay, I need to rephrase. I feel like I have a duty to help people, especially people who are struggling, right? It doesn't have to be just struggling financially. People who are struggling with the deen, struggling in life, just anyone who's struggling. The same way that I've struggled and I've seen so many of my friends struggle, I feel a sense of duty to help them and support them, and I derive satisfaction in seeing them overcome their difficulties. So I'd say if I'm able to leave a legacy of, you know what, having inspired, having impacted, the same way that I look back at my father and my grandfather, you know, the impact that they've had, if I'm able to continue that and, you know, really have a positive impact on people, turn people's lives around, I think that'll be the greatest thing that I could do with my life.
Amazing. Beautiful. Beautiful.
You're going to go a long way, man.
I love
Inshallah.
I'm here for it. We're going to be here cheering you on. MashaAllah.
Inshallah, collectively, here, everyone listening and watching, we raise our hands and dua, wallah, because we need more mu'mineen like this.
Inshallah.
We need more people with this way of thinking, this mentality, because that's the only way the youth will ever fall in love with Islam once more.
Inshallah, may always you'll have a pure niyyah and Allah give you subhanahu wa ta'ala more strength to serve, to guide other youth, and to guide us as well, because we'll learn from you as well, inshallah. Like
you know what's been beautiful, by the way?
Yeah.
We always get, by the way, people always like message the podcast like, you guys, you Shia, you never talk about Allah, you don't talk about Salat. Bro, this whole episode has been about Salat.
Yeah.
Subhanallah.
We went back into it, but I feel like we've been wanting to do it. Do you know what, Sid? We've been speaking about, like, we wanted to do an episode on Salat for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, who do you ask? Like, it's a random episode. Everyone prays, but it's like, who do you ask? Is there a specialist or like what?
Yeah.
So
no,
that's
alhamdulillah.
nice. Zaid, can you check your WhatsApp, please?
Ya Sattar.
So Zane, for those who don't know, and I'm sure if you've become as hungry as I have because we're fasting and everything.
Yeah, we've only got a few hours left.
Yeah. I'm gonna challenge you a bit more. Okay. We do this thing where we ask people to rank. It's called AM rankings.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll give you 5 options of a topic, and you've got to rank them before you know what the next one is. Okay. For example, if I ask you to rank your favorite football clubs in the Europe, for example, you might start with 1. I give you 1, you rank it out of 5, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so Said Adi's got a good list for us.
So I rank it out of 5, yeah?
No, you don't rank it out of 5. You place it in a ranking.
Okay.
So I might say to you, your favorite, I don't know, starters. Yeah, and I might say samosas. You might say, number 3. Okay. Your number 3 is taken then. You've got 1, 2, 4, and 5 left.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay, so should we go, yeah?
Yeah.
So this one's regarding food, alhamdulillah. I know we're fasting.
We love
so inshallah, our mouths don't start watering here. But the first one you need to rank is an Oreo milkshake.
Oh my days.
Beautiful.
Oh my days.
Love it.
See, I want to put it as number 1, but I know what's going to come. I'm going to put it as number 3.
Number 3.
Oh, okay.
Just because I have a feeling what comes next will be better.
Now, the second one you need to rank is milk cake.
I don't think I've ever tried that, you know. I
want you to imagine a pistachio milk cake. If you've never
tried
like
those pistachio cakes which are a bit squizzy.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? They're a bit liquidy and...
Oh, that's a milk cake. Yeah, I have had that then.
They're nice.
No. It's nothing
4
special.
Or 5.
I'll put it 5. It's not nothing that special.
Okay. Am I doing the rest all, yeah?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, now this one's a donut. It's a Krispy Kreme glazed.
That's a 4, man. I'm not a big fan of donuts.
Okay. Chocolate strawberry crepe.
Yeah. So 3 is taken. Okay, 2.
So now whatever's left has to be number 1.
Inshallah,
and I think it's going to be 1.
Wait, before you say it, what would you put number 1 if you had a choice of anything?
Desserts. Oh man, churros are nice, man.
Churros. That's nice. Okay, this is not exactly churros.
Churros are nice.
Let's see. Perhaps you'd agree with this. Kanafa.
My mind didn't go to Arab Street. I didn't go to Arab Street. I don't know why. I was just thinking like Western. I agree.
Well, would this be a number one?
I accept it. I accept.
So you're happy with it? Yeah? So that actually worked out for the.
It did work out. Alhamdulillah.
You had that good niyyah, and before you started, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be sincere in the way I rank. It worked out. Subhanallah. Zane, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity.
Habib, I learned so much, honestly.
Likewise.
And it's like, bringing me my youth thoughts, how I used to think about back in the day. We all have our own struggles. You have struggles, I have struggles, Ahmed has struggles. And if anyone out there is struggling, trust me, Allah is the answer. Don't think outside the box. God has an answer for everything. If it's not directly with Allah because you sort of lack a communication with Him, you haven't built that relationship and that bond with your Creator, speak to your local Maulana, speak to someone more learned than you, and inshallah they can help you stay on the path that is haqq. And I do want to say one thing, inshallah one day, since you focus here on Salah and you spoke about struggles of Salah, and inshallah people are encouraged to go on their prayer mats and adhere to the 5 days, 5 times a day Salah. Inshallah one day we see you leading Salah in the shrine of Imam Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen, alayhi salam.
That's a proper dua.
Inshallah.
I don't know if I've ever had someone say that to me.
That's amazing.
Inshallah you do Salah in the shrine. Oh, okay, cool. I'll take it. Inshallah.
Also Mecca and Medina, but the shrine of Imam Ali is
wow. Okay. Yeah, thank you, man. I echo everything said. Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe as always. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and make sure you follow us on TikTok and Instagram as well. You may have been wondering why I have this beautiful box in front of me, the Amazon Fire Stick. We are giving these out for free. That's right, for free. Balash. All you need to do is, if you are already a partner of Ahlul Bayt TV, get in touch with us. You can call us, drop us an email, and then inshallah we will post you a free Fire Stick. And if you're not already a partner, then sign up, subscribe to Ahlul Bayt TV, and you'll get one of these for free, or a Google Chromecast as well. This is a hugely exciting time, and if we're talking about struggles of the youth, I think people know how we feel, but I feel one of the biggest answers to it is media. Muslim media. That's what we need, whether it's through social media, whether it's broadcast TV, whatever it might be, podcasts. So we need ideas, we need financial support, and we also need contributions through coming on and joining us as well. So yeah, say anything to add on that? Or
you've said everything,
Habibi. All right, guys, get in touch with us, let us know what you think, and we will see you next week. Take care. Assalamu alaikum
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.